And now the breaking news here. The April figures are out and they show inflation slightly slowing in the US, but consumer prices still rose by 8.3%. The consumer price index for gasoline specifically fell 6.1% in April compared to March, and that's the principal reason behind the headline number receding a touch. Ahead of the numbers and the upcoming midterm polls this November, President Biden has attacked Republicans for pursuing what he called an ultra-MAGA agenda, a phrase used in reference to former President Trump's Make America Great Again slogan. Seeking to turn the debate over the economy against his opponents, the president said his top priority is trying to lower the cost of living for working families.
My plan attacks inflation and grows the economy by lowering costs for working families, giving workers well-deserved raises, reducing the deficit by historic levels, and making big corporations and the very wealthiest Americans pay their fair share. The other path is the ultra-MAGA plan put forward by congressional Republicans to raise taxes on working families, lower the income of American workers, threaten sacred programs.
Biden delivered his remarks ahead of today's inflation numbers. The president tried to convince Americans that his administration is taking steps to address higher costs for fuel, food, and many other goods.
I want every American to know that I'm taking inflation very seriously, and it's my top domestic priority. There are things we can do and we can address and we need to do. That starts with the Federal Reserve, which plays a primary role in fighting inflation in our country. I put forward a highly qualified nominees to lead that institution, and I strongly urge the Senate to confirm them without delay.
So let's turn to WION's US correspondent Susan Tehrani, who joins us again live today from the streets of New York. Susan, it was an empathetic Joe Biden who was speaking at the White House yesterday, trying to convey to Americans that he feels their pain. At one point during that appearance, he said, "I can taste it." But these inflation numbers just out are still uncomfortably high for American families and therefore also for the White House.
Right, exactly. And him saying those words, unfortunately, won't make inflation any lower. And him playing defensive and deflecting the situation by blaming the Republicans when the Democrats really, not only, as he mentioned, control both chambers, but also the White House really won't deflect the situation either. While he did say that he feels America's pain, he also said, wait until you decide to elect a Republican, and then you'll see how worse things are going to get. That's not exactly the best strategy. He also said during the Q&A that Americans seem confused, frustrated, and also not focused. That's disrespecting the American public when it comes to the economy, and that seems like the line that the White House has been taking, which is basically if they could only understand what we've been doing for them, which is true, which means that wages have been higher, job creation has been steady as well, then they would learn to appreciate us. All of that is true, but because inflation is at a 40-year high, the reality of on the ground right now is, and with this recent report, an average American family by the end of the year will pay $5,000 more on groceries and fuel, and no one else is to blame but this administration's policies, the Fed, and this White House. So, yes, nice words from the president, but unfortunately, it's a rough road ahead, not only for Joe Biden himself, but the Democrats and their policies. And the pandemic and the hashtag Putin's price hike may not save them at the ballot box during the midterms.
And Susan, let's zero in on the president's characterization of his opponents as being ultra-MAGA. The White House yesterday said that the president himself had coined that phrase, and certainly he's rolled it out over the last week pretty relentlessly. But yesterday's appearance at the White House was met with some derision on social media by Republicans who sort of accepted the moniker and said, yes, absolutely, we are ultra MAGA and we are waiting to bring Donald Trump back into the White House.
Right. Well, first of all, coining that word really signifies, first of all, to deflect attention from the sort of listless and nameless kind of divide which exists within the Democratic Party themselves. He's trying to portray that in the Republican Party, where there's sort of, in Joe Biden's own words, there is your father's Republican Party, and then there's this ultra MAGA Republican Party, which is, as you mentioned, Donald Trump's version, which stands for Make America Great Again, which is why perhaps so many embraced it. On the other hand, again, with the midterms coming up, the Biden administration is doing everything it can, and perhaps using the same formula during the presidential elections, as trying to say that if you pick us, we are the party that is in opposition to Donald Trump's party. So anything that moves away from the MAGA party, anything associated with Donald Trump, would be better than that, as opposed to really providing solutions. And then on the other hand, you have the situation where, coining words like this, ultra MAGA, really, again, puts sort of a division between the adults are in the house, and then, then on the other hand, at least in people like Joe Biden's mind, MAGA really portrays extremism. However, it's yet to be seen whether or not something like this backfires, where, again, the American people feel insulted, and then you have, that kind of division and polarization on the media and social media and media platforms as well. So we'll have to see how far he can go with this. With this ultra MAGA phrase, and whether or not it'll work to his benefit or not.
Interesting months ahead, and you'll be there charting them for us. WION's US correspondent Susan Tehrani joining us live today from New York.